This Smart Traveler's Memo. Today, I'm going to take you through a conversation of how we live within life contradictions. With age, one learns not to be surprised, not even by something that cannot be explained or understood, that is, the inexplicable, or something that does not follow reasons, rules, or common sense, that is the illogical. Life slowly reveals itself not as a straight path, but as a state of confusion, disorder, or mess, where things are mixed up and don't follow a clear or neat pattern, the mando of forms, facts, and meanings. In this conversation, we pause to reflect, not to solve life, but how to understand how we live with contradictions. With age, one learns not to be surprised, not even by inexplicable issues. And by inexplicable, I mean something that cannot be explained or understood even after thinking deeply. For example, sudden loss, unexpected grace, or outcomes with no clear cause. It is good to note that inexplicable things humble the mind, not even by the illogical. Illogical, on the other hand, is something that does not follow reason, rules, or common sense. It contradicts what we expect to be rational. For example, a hard-working person failing while a careless one succeeds. Illogical things confuse the mind because life eventually reveals itself as a mando. All right? All right? Illogical things confuse the mind because life eventually reveals itself as a mando. Has life ever stopped making sense for you and yet continued in a way? Now, what is the key difference between illogical and inexplicable? Illogical or something which is illogical doesn't make sense. Something that is inexplicable cannot be explained. Some things in life are illogical. We try to reason them out. Others are inexplicable. We simply learn them, or we simply learn to live with them. Age teaches us that everything must make sense to have a meaning. Now let's come to another aspect, and this is emotional realism. And I'll tell you that emotional realism is about telling the truth of feelings, even when the situation, setting, or style isn't laterally realistic or literally realistic. You are telling the truth of feelings, even when the situation, setting, or style isn't laterally realistic. It means emotions behave the way they do in real life. Reactions feel honest, messy, contradictory, and human. You recognize yourself in the feeling, even if the story is symbolic, fictional, or stylized, mainly in style. Stylist, from the word style. In practice, in art, you have exaggerated or minimal visuals, but the emotion hits accurately. In film or literature, a character may be in an unusual situation, yet their fear, grief, or hope, or wrath feels completely real. In storytelling, prioritizes emotional truth over factual accuracy. And you can put it simply this way. It may not look real, but it feels real. Right? Are we together, ladies and gentlemen? The core idea. With age, one learns not to be surprised. And this is not cynicism. I'll explain what we mean by cynicism. It is experience. When we are young, we expect logic. we expect fairness, and we expect explanations. With the age, we expect contradictions, we expect the systems to fail, and we expect people to be complex as you age. Aging teaches emotional realism, not bitterness. Okay? It's not that older people know everything. That's not the point. It is that they have seen enough to stop being shocked. All right? Are you with me, guys? So what is cynicism? It is a way of thinking where a person expects the worst, doubts sincerity, and assumes that the people act mainly out of self-interest rather than genuine goodness. And cynicism often grows from disappointment, not from wisdom. In simple terms, cynicism says people pretend, but wisdom says people are complex. Are you getting the joke? Cynicism says people pretend, but those who are wise will not say that people pretend, they will say people are complex. After being betrayed or repeatedly let down, someone may say, there is no such thing as kindness. Everyone wants something. That is cynicism. They don't believe that there is anything called kindness. Are we together? Guys. So, not being surprised by life is not cynicism. It is experience without bitterness. Cynicism crosses the heart. Maturity and wisdom opens the eyes. Cynicism is disappointment that never healed, because it crosses your heart. But if you are eyes, or if you are wise, you open your eyes. Now let's look at a statement here. Even by the inexplicable and the illogical. This is where people nod quietly. All right? People nod quietly. And you see, examples as this. Handwork, not always rewarded. Is it true? Band people sometimes succeed. Is there anything like that? Good intentions producing bad outcomes. Have you experienced such? And institutions behaving irrationally, not being rational. At some point, life stops obeying the rules we were taught in school. And this is very powerful for teachers, parents, professionals, and faith communities. All right. Let's now expound on another statement. Hard work is not always rewarded. This is what we are going to start with. The statements I have listed there, the four. We start with the one which says hard work is not always rewarded. It is one of those uncomfortable truths we only learn with time. Uncomfortable truth you learn with time. If you want it sharper or more reflective, here are a few refined takes, and we pick the mood that fits you. Pick the mood that fits you. All right? Let's go. Plain truth. Handwork is not always rewarded, but it always reveals character. That is plain truth. Realistic and mature. Handwork does not guarantee reward, it only increases the odds. That is realistic. Philosophical. Effort and outcome do not always meet. Life is not a fair examiner. That is philosophical. Effort and outcome do not always meet. Life is not a fair examiner. Cynical, but quietly. Hard work is essential. Reward is optional. And finally, we give one which is encouraging without lying. Hard work may go unrewarded today, but it never wasted. I can see people have started joining me. I can see Wajiro. Hello to you, Wajiro. Wajiro again. Hello, Wajiro. All right. Oh, yeah. Wajiro. Keep on coming, you people. Now. Wajiro, thank you for being in my life. Now, let's come to the second part. Bad people sometimes succeeding. Bad people do sometimes succeed, not because they are right, but because the world doesn't run on moral balance sheets. Power, timing, silence, fear, privilege, manipulation often reward the wrong traits in the short term. And here are a few grounding thoughts. Start with the first one. Success isn't proof of goodness. It's often proof of success. It's often proof of access, ruthlessness, or lack. consequences are not always immediate. Some arrive quietly, some arrive late, and others arrive internally. Goodness isn't strategy. For winning fast. It's a commitment to living without hollow victories. We are still with 1 please. Members join the discussion. What we see is incomplete. We see the spotlight, not the cost, fractures or emptiness behind it. Let me look at people who have joined. All right. Hello. Okay, we are still with my colleague here, Wajiro. I'm still encouraging others to join. So, may I welcome everybody to join this talk. It's a very important talk in our lives. All right. What we see is incomplete. We see the spotlight, not the cost, fractures or emptiness behind it. Bad people sometimes succeed. That doesn't make them right. It only exposes how unfair the world can be. The success of bad people is not a failure of goodness, but a reminder that justice is not automatic. When bad people succeed, it hurts because we expect the world to make moral sense. And finally, good intentions produce bad outcomes. And we start with the most common or academic, the law of unintended consequences. That is what it is called, the law of unintended consequences. I hope I'm not becoming complex. Actions meant to help end up causing harm. Then we have another one here, which is short and punchy. Unintended consequences, backfiring, counterproductive outcomes, moral philosophical tone, moral irony, when virtue leads to harm, tragic irony, good motives, painful results, and proverbial or expressive is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Do you agree, guys? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. A well-meant harm, mundane social commentary, misguided benevolence, formative good gone wrong, good intentions, fraud, excuses. Now, let's look at institutions behaving irrationally, like the schools and the colleges and so on, and companies and churches and even financial systems. Institutions behaving irrationally refers to situations where organizations like in governments, schools, companies, churches, financial systems, and so on, making decisions, take actions that seem illogical, inconsistent, unfair, or against their own stated goals or public expectations. It usually suggests that instead of acting based on clear reasoning, evidence, or public interest, institutions may be influenced by things like, that is, the institutions will be influenced by the following. 1, bureaucracy. Rigid rules that prevent common sense decisions. Politics or power struggles. Decisions made to protect our authority rather than solve problems. Fear of change. Sticking to outdated systems even when better solutions exist. You fear change. Corruption or self-interest. Benefiting a few instead of serving the larger community. And finally, poor communication or mismanagement, which leads to confusion, leading to contradictory actions. And below, I give you the simple real-life examples. 1, a school banning helpful learning tools because they are few or because they are new or unfamiliar. And government maintaining policies that evidence shows are failing. And that is what most of the governments are doing. A company ignoring employee welfare while expecting high productivity. You don't take care of your employees, but you want them to work very hard. An organization creating complex procedures that slow down simple services. Services are simple, but you bring a very complicated way of solving that problem. Life is a mando. Amando means not neat. It's like from mad, not linear or not easily categorized. Let's look at each of them. When we say life is a mando, which is not neat, this means the mando means not neat, not clear, or mixed up. And this can be put more fully by saying something confused, disordered or disorderly, messy, physically or mentally, lacking clear structure or meaning. Examples: the room was a mando of books and papers. They were all scattered. Another example: life can feel like a mando when nothing makes sense. All right. Life is a mando when nothing makes sense. And there is one time or the other we have come across such experiences. Life is a mando, which is not linear, means something not linear, not orderly, and not clearly structured. And more fully, it suggests that life is confused or jumbled. It has mixed up elements with no clear sequence, overlapping ideas, facts, and meanings, which is quite true, progress that loops, stalls, or contradicts itself. Something linear is something on a straight line. So when someone says life is a mando, they are pointing to the reality that it doesn't unfold in a straight line. It is messy, layered, and often illogical. And finally, a mando means not easily categorized, meaning something confused, mixed up, or not easily categorized or understood. Disorganized or jumbled, lacking clear structure or boundaries, and hard to make sense. So, life is a mando of forms, facts, and meanings, suggests things are tangled together in a way that elicits neat classification. Not chaos exactly, but complexity without clean labels. The three lenses of the mando. 1, mando, spelling, guys, because we are not English people, is M-U-D-D-A-L-E, mando. So which are the three lenses? The first one is administratively. And this is about schools, governments, churches, corporations, hospitals. Administratively, life is forms on top of forms, rules that contradict other rules, processes that forget the human being. For example, a qualified person denied help due to missing documents. A rule followed perfectly, but producing injustice. Administration values order, life values people. The second lens of the mando is practically, and this is everyday survival. Bills, health, family, time, and energy. And you might say, practically, life is about doing the best you can without what you have, even when what you have is not enough. Life is about doing the best you can without what you have, even when what you have is not enough. That is quite practical. The best you can do with what you have, even when what you have is not enough. And finally, metaphorically, success doesn't mean happiness. Failure doesn't mean uselessness. Detours sometimes become destinations. May I repeat the metaphors? Success doesn't mean happiness. Failure does not mean uselessness, and detours sometimes become destinations. Metaphorically, life teaches us that meaning is not found in clarity, but in endurance. So we are coming to almost the end of our discussion, the big message. Life is not a puzzle to be solved. It is attention to be lived. Wisdom is not understanding everything. Wisdom is learning how to live without understanding everything. May I repeat again? The message I brought forward. Life is not a puzzle to be solved. It is attention to be lived. Wisdom is not understanding everything. Wisdom is learning how to live without understanding everything. So, my dear people, or my dear viewers, I would like you to tell me, at what age did life stop being simple for you? All right. The second thing you will tell me is, what's one thing that no one prepared you for? Give me one thing that you are not prepared for. Do you think clarity is overrated? So, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps maturity is not about finding answers, but about learning which questions are worth carrying. All right. Thank you for listening to me. I cannot take it for granted, but I invite you for my next reflective conversation. Goodbye and have a good night.